the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who pursued the truth throughout his life, but who tried to protect his mental health while walking on this path. Although he lost his struggle with his mental health when we look at the end of his life, the ideas he put forward for this purpose make him one of the best modern philosophers all time. The concepts he put forward influenced humanity so much that many works we consume under the name of popular culture include his ideas. The loss of the influence religion on societies, the resulting lack of perception. A person's struggle to find new meanings for himself. When we cover every part of him in such matters, it is impossible to look at life with the same eyes again. And the subject of this video is the philosophy Plazo Friedrich Nietzsche. God is dead. There's only one dead thing left from God, and we are the ones who killed him. His shadow is still there. It determines how we will establish ourselves in the distance. In order to understand the phrase God is dead, which perhaps most famous saying for us murderers, we first need to analyze the period he lived in. With advancement of the Age of Enlightenment in the 19th century, Western civilizations advanced their trust in reason and science. As a result, they moved away from the concepts of religion and God that had been going on for centuries. A person living in this process has lost motivations such as reading the Bible, going to church or praying God, but the loss of authority perception God, which has been effective for centuries, creates a lack of meaning from the throat. If we are going to live according these rules of the game, what are we going to live for? Questions such as these begin to be asked among people, and at this point, the philosophy of nihilism rises. According to this philosophy, life has no meaning and purpose. All the values we believe in are actually nothing. Upon all these developments I mentioned, he breaks the phrase God is dead. This phrase was not established with the aim of a victory against religions. In fact, quite the opposite. There is anxiety behind his making this statement. After all, a system that has given meaning to people's lives for many years has entered the vicinity of collapse, and this situation will put humanity in a difficult period. In fact, there is nothing that has changed in the concept of religion or God. What has changed is the mentality of people. They have distanced themselves from their beliefs and destroyed the values they once believed in. The fact that a person can live without religion or belief in God does not help much. In fact, the philosophy of nihilism does not help much. In fact, it makes a person more detached from life by hitting him. He realizes this situation and puts forward a concept that will help person not to drown in the deep and dark waters of service. In his book Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he says the following sentence in capital letters: all the gods died. We want the Superman to live. Now you see, only way save himself from the meaninglessness of life and danger nihilism is for a person to transform himself into a Superman. So what does this Superman mean? Instead of accepting the values and meaning patterns that his environment has made for him, he accepts the values he has created. Instead of following the path followed by a herd, he follows his own original path. He considers his ideals sacred and tries to overcome the obstacles in front of him at all costs or to realize them. The Superman is a self-confident, independent and free person, but when the time comes, I can be this and it can also dangerous. He states that in order for a person to reach superhuman, he must change his perspective on pain. Instead of escaping from pain, he must embrace pain. He even says that pain should be felt in all its nakedness. Because according to him, suffering is a situation that develops and elevates a person. For this reason, he states people should stay away from numbing factors that relieve pain. He shows alcohol as an example of this situation, but we can also add other drugs to this class. These types of drugs reduce the effect of pain suffered, but according to Nietzsche, becoming insensitive to pain is not a good thing. Forget about me. The greatest drug against pain is religion. Many people who observe religious around them think that these people cannot stand their personal pain and embrace religion to escape from this pain. As a result of this situation, people are deprived of the gains that suffering brings to them. Of course, this concept of the middle and this superhuman is seriously criticized by many, and he realizes this in advance and says the following: I claim that what call a superhuman, you will call it the devil. Why do critics claim that the concept of superhuman inspires the main ideologies, especially Adolf Hitler in Nazi Germany? It is claimed that there is a structure similar to the concept of Superman in its philosophy. Nazi Germany, which had values such as creating a Superman race or wiping out the Jews from face of Earth, made extremely effective moves to achieve its ideals just like a Superman. It is known that Hitler also called someone. This philosopher caused some authorities to react. In fact, it is obvious that Hitler was influenced by Nietzsche. But this situation is why he would have supported Hitler's cause, and that is, he had fascist motivations like Hitler. Why can't we make inferences? He was neither a German nationalist nor did he have a hatred towards the Jewish people, which we call anti-Semitism. I can also say that the concept of Superman influenced not only Hitler but also a huge mass and, of course, literature and popular culture. When the creators of the character Superman first designed this character, they wanted to present him as a villain instead of making hero, and in this process they were greatly influenced by Nietzsche's concept of Superman. Jung also stated that one of his aims when writing famous novel Martin Good News was to be selfish in the concept of Superman, and criticizes the ego, and many more movies, series and books have been influenced by this concept. The reason why the idea of the people has created such an impact is probably the activation of a special will that lies within each person. Because according to Nietzsche, man constantly pursues his special will in existence, the world. What motivates us to survive? This question is extremely common in philosophy and even psychology. For example, Sigmund Freud's medium, the pleasure principle, states that the basic desire of man is to reach pleasure, while Frank, with the concept we call high school logotherapy, says that man clings to life by pursuing a meaning. But what is it connects us life? It is not the desire for chic or understanding that connects us to life. Accordingly, man pursues the desire for power from moment he is born. Patani does not limit concept of Chepu to only humans. He states that the basic instinct of all living things is to gain power. However, when we look around us, we can see that some people suppress this will to power. What is it that especially religious people suppress? The world and carrots. As a result, the will to power distances themselves. It draws attention, and there are people who satisfy the will to power on one side, and there are people who suppress it on the other side. It is to different moral values. It reveals the perception of the master and slave morality. It defines the master morality as concept of Superman, and the person who has this morality values the concepts of power and prestige. It gets its motivation from courage and does not hesitate to be ruthless from time to time. A person with battery morality usually gets its motivation from the religion it believes in. It does not deviate from the boundaries that religion draws for itself, and when it thinks of opening these, it hesitates from concepts such as I and hell in the religion it believes in. This distinction between the master and Ash's morality also changes their perspective on concepts of good-bad. For example, if a person does wrong to with Ash's morality, it is necessary to forgive and show mercy that person. However, a person with master morality describes this behavior of a person with Ash's morality as weakness and cowardice. Since a person with battery morality does not have the capacity to take tip, he covers this deficiency with mercy. In fact, it draws attention to the fact that only master morality existed in ancient civilizations this era. The concepts we call good consist of power, prosperity, and the newest features. People try to reach these gains that we call bad. The concepts are situations such as weakness, helplessness, and poverty, and people try to get away from this, but after a while the number of people who enter into so-called bad concepts, that is, situations such as weakness, helplessness, and poverty, starts to increase, and these people react to the master morality and design their own moral system. In a district's expression, the slave morality, in this moral system, instead of weakness, goodness is replaced by humility. Instead of poverty and mercy, helplessness. In short, the master has dressed up the concepts he calls bad as if they are actually good concepts. Up until now, the ideas of this philosopher that I have mentioned are related to each other and have caused a lot of discussion. The following sections include ideas that attract less reaction, and we take fate and time. Time is a flat circle containing ideas, says Nietzsche. For him, the concept of time is an association inside, therefore, although the concept of time has a linear, that is, a progressive perception, it also has a cyclical structure that repeats itself. Since time's cyclical structure and everything in the universe is related to time, we can reach the idea that all events in the world repeat themselves same order throughout an infinite cycle series. Here is how this situation returns to balance with these words. It explains the situation more deeply. You will have to live this life that you lived, and I am living again, and countless times there will be nothing new in your life. Every pain, every joy, thought, and every cold, indescribably small or great, everything will return to you one after another and in the same order. Even this twilight and spider that glides through the trees right now, and even I myself will be turned upside down again, and with you, a speck of dust in the endless hourglass existence. So what is the fate of man, consisting of events that repeat themselves year after? If it is not possible to break this cycle, what attitude should we have towards that fate? Should we deny it and change it, or should we accept it and love it? Nietzsche's concept, amor fati, means love of fate. At the core of this concept is a person's choosing to feel regret and anger towards the events that happen in their fate, instead of accepting it as much they can. And SMS lies my expression for the greatness in man. Amor fati is not wanting anything else, neither forward nor backward nor towards all selfishness. It is necessary to be covered up nor to hide it. On the contrary, to love it. When we look at it like this, accepting and loving him, the idea is a situation that does not exist in most people's lives. Our fate usually puts the blame and prepares scenarios where ours is different. Doesn't it contradict the concept of superhuman that we all do? After all, in the concept of superhuman, a person is encouraged to take his own destiny in hand and direct it, while the concept of amor fati, he should accept the destiny he already has and love it. Maybe here, to get rid of the trouble of being stuck in a single thought, the presentation of two different ways thinking inside you is waiting for us to blend them, instead of interpreting life with a single way of thinking, putting two different thoughts in our pockets and leaving the choice of when to use which one is up us. It completely opposes the wasting of human potential by resorting to fatalism, but instead of being stubborn with the aspects fate that we cannot change in any way, expecting us to take an accepting and even embracing attitude. When we look at his life, can see how valuable and even a saving feature the concept of amor fati is. He struggles with health problems throughout his life. You would not sell your books properly when you lived. This situation now always ends in failure. Why are these misfortunes that happen to him? It is not always because of him. Sometimes these situations are inevitable situations that fate presents to him, and it is a fact that being rebellious against such fate will make the current situation worse. How many say the following about this situation: amor fati me is the essence of my existence. As for my long-term illness, don't I owe him much more than health? I owe him a higher kind of health. In fact, a kind of health that strengthens under everything, does not kill him. I even owe philosophy to the ultimate liberator of the soul is only great pains that are tragic. When Nietzsche and philosophy enter their most effective and productive process, declines in mental health begin, and according to some groups, the breaking point occurs as a result of an extremely interesting event. How many sees and suddenly runs to that horse, hugs it, and tells it the following sentence without stopping: "I understand you." After this event, he faints. When this burns, he begins his journey that will result in losing his mental health. During this process, he suffers a stroke and becomes unable to speak or walk. Of course, the health problems he had before had an effect on this situation. But he spent a long time in the dark waters of philosophy. We can say that the constant struggle with problems strained human mind has also damaged his mental health. When we look at the result, he is most influential figure of modern philosophy. In a way, he has been crushed under his own weight. When we look at what he has put forward, see that has been one of the bravest philosophers, Derridanes, which we call philosophy, who can carry thought to end, does justice action thinking.